morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are here for the BPM Change Management PRR Review monthly meeting. My name is Rada Madrigal, representing ISO Customer Readiness, and I will be facilitating today's web conference. We are recording this call today. We are recording these for informational and convenience purposes only, and any related transcriptions should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. As a reminder, these monthly calls are structured to stimulate an honest dialogue and to engage different perspectives. While we welcome comments and questions, please remember to keep comments professional and respectful. We will be taking questions throughout the call today. If you dialed in just by the phone and not through the WebEx application, you can enter the question queue at any time by pressing #2 on your telephone keypad. If you connected audio through the WebEx platform, please use the raise hand feature, which you can see located above the chat box on the lower right-hand side of your screen. And also please introduce yourself before asking your question. If you need technical assistance today, please send a chat message to the event producer. This is our agenda for today. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the proposed revision requests that are in the initial or recommendation stage of the process. We have 10 PRRs to talk to you about today. 6 of them are in the initial stage and 4 are in the recommendation stage. And for these 10 PRRs, all of them were submitted by the ISO. So we've got, we'll be talking about the Market Operations BPM and Market Instruments. Michael Martin will take us through those. Then Reliability Requirements with Melanie Bogdan, Settlements and Billing with Matthew Amati, and then Transmission Planning Process with Catalin Niksha. And then I will wrap it up at the end. Our stakeholder initiative process, as a reminder here with the BPMs, the purpose of having these BPMs is to set forth business practices that implement the ISO tariffs. We have a yearly policy initiative roadmap process where we consider and rank the various initiatives. Policy changes get submitted through the PRR process and then get referred to the policy initiative roadmap process. Any subject area in a BPM is based on essentially enabling language in the ISO tariff, so we cannot, through the PRR process, introduce changes that are not already supported by existing tariff authority. All right, we are going to start with the Market Operations BPM, so I will hand this over to Michael. Michael Martin, go ahead and get started, and you can let me know when to advance the slides.
Thank you, Rada. This is Michael Martin in Operations. Rada, let's go ahead to 1411.
Oh, hold on a second here. Somehow skipped forward really fast, so bear with me for a second. Here we go.
Perfect. Okay, PRR 1411. This is an update to the penalty prices to our security constrained unit commitment software. This was a result of large stakeholder and initiatives. The objective was to ensure the market doesn't overschedule interties in RUC or RTM. I've also invited today Kun Zhao, a member of our market quality group, to answer any detailed questions. At this point, we haven't received any initial comments. The comment period expired on March 15th, and the next step is post-recommendation. So any questions on this PRR?
There are no questions in queue.
Okay, perfect. Let's go to the next one. Thank you. So this is PRR 1406, the activation of a minimum constraint in RTD, and that's the 5-minute market. We already have this in our 15-minute RTPD market, so this is just making it consistent, and it also makes sure that our flex ramp capacity is more accurate. At this point, we haven't received any comments, and the same comment period expired on the 15th, and the next step is post-recommendation without objection. Okay. Hearing none, let's proceed to the next one, please. So this is PRR 1404 to the Market Ops BPM, and it's a series of cleanup edits related to what we call the ESDR 4 initiative, a series of edits, and this is actually in the recommendation phase. It didn't receive any comments in the initial comment phase, and the recommendation comment period expired also on March 15th. So the next step for this is the post-final decision. Okay. Without objection, let's proceed to the next one.
We did just have a question pop up in queue. Are you able to address that right now?
Sure.
All right, perfect. All right, very good. Michael, your line is unmuted. You may go ahead.
Yeah, this is Michael Wolpe from PG&E. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. I was wondering if you had responses to 2 of the questions we submitted through the online system. Your last response is that you will respond ASAP.
I remember we talked about it last meeting, and I thought I put the response. I thought I put the response out there for you, Michael.
Thanks. There were 9 questions, and 7 of them were responded to, but there's 2 still outstanding. I was wondering if you could take a look at those.
I remember going through them and cutting and pasting and doing that. I think I put them in the next section. I'm not in the PR right now. So what I can do here is, why don't I do this? Proceed to the next PRR, and then as the other presenters go, I'll go back and see if I can find them before this meeting is over.
Okay, great.
Okay, sure thing, Michael. So we'll move through your section, and then we'll give you time at the end to circle back.
Perfect. Thanks. So next one is PRR 1403. This is the change to our expected energy process for non-participating energy in our EIM market, and this is specific to, if I recall, to how we treat day-ahead base energy. And at this point, it did go through the initial phase without comment. There were no other recommendation comments, and that period expired. And at this point, it's post-final decision is the next step. Okay. Let's proceed to the next one, please. So we're now moving to market instruments BPM changes. And let's go ahead to 1405. So PRR 1405, this is the market instrument counterpart to the other ESDR 4 initiative cleanup edits that relate to the market instruments BPM. And in this PR, we did not receive any initial comments or recommendation comments in the same period, and post-final recommendation is set for this one. Okay, let's proceed to 1402. PR 1402 is updates to our aftermarket cost recovery and RLC reference level calculator, change requests for ELC long start units. And there was a large attachment O. We did receive a series of comments in the initial phase, and we've addressed, I'd say, half of them. We also are just completing the comments for SRP. I didn't get a chance to post them this morning, and I can update that the case that SRP brought up is unique to EIM participants that procure fuel and for base schedule and also for incremental EIM participation. And in this case, the same incremental fuel purchase can be used for the same aftermarket cost recovery. So without getting with too much detail here, I will update the attachment O with an example of how this would work for EIM entities. Any questions on that?
There are currently no questions in queue.
So as far as the process, thank you. So as far as the process on this one, since there's going to be another attachment update here, it will then go through, I suppose, another round to give everyone a chance to re-review these. So when I make these changes, you'll see them there and have a chance to make recommendations in the next round. Okay. Loretta, I believe that's it for me. I'll hand it back to you.
Great, thanks, Michael. And I'll check in with you at the end after we look at the transmission planning process BPM with Catalan. Now, folks, we are moving to the reliability requirements BPM, and I'm going to hand it over to Melanie. Melanie, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name's Melanie. There's only one PRR for the reliability requirements BPM today, which is PRR 1408. This is called the implementation of the outcome resulting from the maximum import capability PRR, and it's in its initial stage. So the reason for this PRR were for changes that were required in order to implement the outcome of the MIC enhancement stakeholder process immediately upon FERC approval. There were no initial comments, and that initial comment period has expired, and now the next step is to post recommendation. Are there any questions for this PRR?
There are currently no questions in queue.
Perfect.
All right, thank you, Melanie. So we're going to go ahead and move now to the settlements and billing BPM, and we'll hand it over to you, Matthew.
Thank you, Rada. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Amati, and I will be going over a couple of new charge types from settlements. We have PRRs 1410 and 1409. 1410 has to do with the JOU, Joint Unit Pilot Initiative settlement, and 1409 reflects fixes for RMR, reliability must run adjustments for startup costs. Next slide, please. Okay, on 1410, the reason we're making the changes in configuration guide is to support the JOU project, which has the ownership of physical resources by two EIM entities, Public Service of Company of New Mexico and Tucson Electric Company. Now, the configuration guide has been updated, and we're planning to deploy this change on April 27th, 2022, and the effective trade date is May 3rd of 2022. There are no initial comments so far, and the initial comment period expired on March 15th. Next step is post-recommendation. Are there any questions regarding PRR 1410?
There are currently no questions in queue.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Next, PRR 1409. This was discovered via dispute, and basically there was an issue with the formula and RMR adjustment for startup costs that duplicate adjustments when two or more markets are covered by a single commitment period. So the fix which was applied basically corrects it to the single adjustment per commitment period for startup across the different markets. Configuration guides has been updated, and this change will be deployed on May 25th, 2022. And the effective date goes back to last year, February 1st of 2021. No initial comments, and the initial comment period expired on March 15th. Next step is post-recommendation. Any questions regarding PRR 1409?
There are currently no questions in queue.
All right, thank you. Rado, back to you.
Thank you, Massey. We're going to move to Catalin now, who will talk to us about the Transmission Planning Process, BPM. Catalin, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to talk about 1407, and that's the implementation of outcome resulting for the maximum import capability enhancements. Next slide, please. So we're updating the BPM to receive and process the maximum import capability expansion requests in section 3.22 and 3.26. We have received no initial comments, and the next step is to post the recommendation. Any questions?
There are currently no questions in queue.
Thank you.
Thanks, Catalin. Michael Martin, I wanted to check in with you to see if you had a chance to take a look at the PRR in question, and I don't know if there's a specific PRR you'd like me to put the slides back on.
It was 1404, and it was the market ops ester cleanup. So as Mike, I suppose you were trying to tell me that you're correct. There is no answers out here. I am surprised because I have the answers and failed to upload them. So what I think I will do here with what I'll recommend is let me post them now, and this PRR, we can just go another month, give you a chance to look at it. We'll put it on the agenda for next time and give you a chance to review those. This isn't a hurry to, an emergency to get in. Does that sound okay? Great, I see your chat, so thanks, Mike.
Okay, great, so thanks for that follow-up. So we're gonna move this now and conclude today's session. The next BPM review meeting will be on April 26th at 11 a.m. And so we will see you all then. Thank you very much for your participation. If you have any questions, you can send those to bpm_cm@CAISO.com. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Rada.
That concludes our conference. Thank you for using Event Services. You may now disconnect.